Next on this episode of HTNR, we have big stories to dig through from the likes of JBL, IMAX, Mark Levinson, Trinnov, Dirac, Kaleidescape. That's right, Kaleidescape is back in the news cycle again. And Denon and our featured story spotlights two new gorgeous separates from Marantz. They are so tempting. And we have an update on Tariff-related pricing from their camp, which, folks, is super interesting because we haven't heard that much from the big manufacturers on that front, but I'll tell you what Marantz has to say. We'll also take a look at disc news, where we have some exciting new reviews to share from AV Nirvana, and we pay a visit to what's hot and what's not in the world of content, and I dug up a super sweet deal of the week, and that's a gear deal of the week. Don't get too excited because, yes, this is an amazing deal, but this one still might tax your wallet pretty heavily. Hey there, home theater fans. Today is May 21st, 2025. I'm Todd Anderson, your host here on HTNR and editor at the Home Theater Forum, avnirvana.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. We have a great cross-section of listeners, from home theater fans to AV Nirvana forum members. We have industry experts and professionals in the AV world that listen. So thank you all, each and every one of you, for stopping in and spending some time with me here on HTNR. And if you're new to the show, welcome. It's great to have you here. This episode is brought to you by our friends at SVS. Right now, they're turning up the volume on savings with a Memorial Day outlet store blowout event where, for the first time ever, the award-winning Ultra Evolution speaker has landed. These are the most advanced speakers SVS has ever created, and now you can score them at their lowest prices to date. And here's a little pro tip. I'm told that inventory is extremely limited on those, so if you're interested in those speakers and you want some savings, don't wait. Go jump on it. SVS's 4000 series subwoofers are making one final appearance before they just ride off into the sunset forever. At least that's what they say. These are brand new factory fresh subs, and they're on sale. Also, I've dropped several checkout codes into the show notes that will give you extra savings on top of SVS's sale prices. So take a peek at those and then head over to svsound.com. This episode is also brought to you by the amazing folks at madVR Labs, leaders in high-performance video processing for home theaters and media rooms. Their lineup includes the flagship Envy Extreme and the new Envy Core, both designed to elevate your viewing experience with advanced HDR tone mapping, upscaling, and real-time video optimization using their own motion AI technology. Whether you're using a TV, or if you're lucky enough to own a video wall or a projector, madVR's cutting-edge tech can maximize contrast, eliminate black bars, and unlock that next level motion AI processing that they have built into this amazing equipment, all to deliver the most accurate and lifelike image possible. Visit madvrenvy.com to learn more about why a madVR processor deserves a spot in your rack. And as a reminder, this podcast has video elements that you can see on YouTube and Spotify, so definitely check us out there. And if audio only floats your boat, you can use those platforms, or you can find us on other popular services like Apple Podcasts. And with that sound, our trusty time machine has shot us back 42 years into the past to May 20th, 1983, and the official launch of THX is happening, introducing an industry-altering AV standard that would redefine the movie-going experience. It was developed by an engineer named Tomlinson Hallman at Lucasfilm, and THX was designed to ensure that soundtracks of films were reproduced exactly as intended by the creators. And boy, that is a phrase that we've heard over and over again, but this was really the beginning of it all in that regard. And they were really looking to reduce things like distortion and just outright alteration of the sound. The system set rigorous standards for acoustics and equipment and auditorium design, ensuring a consistent and high quality audio experience from theater to theater. Now, when we think THX, it's impossible not to hear its iconic deep note sound, bringing a sound system to life, an excitement building sound that just screamed quality, and for a long time it signified something special was about to happen as you waited for your feature film to start. Of course, THX's impact has extended far beyond commercial theaters. In 1990, the first THX certified home audio system was introduced, and that badge became a benchmark for home theater systems and a gateway for brands to show consumers they really meant business and were producing excellent products. And that's a really big deal. Just look at the impact it's had on Monolith, the line spearheaded by Hobie Seacrest out at Monoprice. Just really, really huge. And then more recently, THX has also begun edging its way into manufacturing with its HDMI cables made in conjunction with Jack McDougall at PixelGen, and a headphone DAC amp called Onyx that I reviewed many years ago. Just a really nice piece of equipment. So while it's no longer a bold standard flexed by commercial cinema, THX still has a broad impact on the AV industry. Ah, yes, THX. Boy, I would really love to have that deep note play every time I step into my home theater and fire up a movie. The way my system's set up, that's not possible, but boy, Kaleidescape. Could you possibly make that happen? Maybe, I don't know. Okay, folks, now it's time to dig through some of the bigger news stories in the AV world. And let me remind you that you can still visit our forums homepage where you can read about some of the stories we're not covering on this episode of HTNR. We're talking about things like Premium Audio Company's new partnership with Jurassic World Rebirth, or some sweet new high-end gear by Bang & Olufsen. We have some big news out of Focal, and Qobuz Connect is landing on Denon and Marantz Helios gear. We have a full breakdown of that story right on our homepage. Okay, it's time to fire up the lightning round. And let's kick things off with a story that home theater fans might find pretty interesting. We have Christopher Nolan's next epic, the Odyssey, poised to make IMAX history. It's set to be released in July 2026, and this will be the first ever blockbuster shot entirely from start to finish on IMAX film. Nolan's using a newly developed, quieter camera that he personally urged IMAX to create after the success of Oppenheimer. That means the Odyssey can be shown in full 1:43:1 aspect ratio, all the way through, no more shifting aspect ratios mid-scene. Now, Matt Damon is set to star in the film, and it sounds like the new camera tech will be reserved exclusively for Nolan, at least in the near term. So this is shaping up to be one of the most visually ambitious theatrical releases to date, which leads me to a question I have for you. What do you think this is going to mean for home viewing? We've seen movies similar to this that weren't shot all the way through, obviously, but that had IMAX film where they crop the top and the bottom of the image to allow for showing on TVs through streaming services. But what's your feeling on it, folks? Do you wish that he was more of a 235:1 guy or 16:9, just stuck with one of those? Or are you excited that he's going with this IMAX aspect ratio? Let me know in the comments below. Speaking of cinematic viewing, we are back to Kaleidescape, and I told you they're back in the news cycle. They are keeping their foot on the gas, launching their third new player of the year. We have the Strato E, priced at $2,995. This is a 4K player that delivers lossless audio, bit-perfect video, but in a smaller, more affordable package. It supports Dolby Vision, HDR10, and top-tier surround formats like Atmos and DTS:X. It includes a 480 gigabyte solid-state drive. That's for standalone playback of roughly 6 high bitrate movies, so a little smaller than the Strato V. Physically, this thing is just as tiny, over 6 inches wide, barely more than a pound in weight, making it ideal for stealthy installs in media rooms, maybe your yacht if you're lucky enough to have a yacht. But for most of us, our stealthy install is probably sticking this thing behind a flat panel TV. Now, compared to the Strato V, which costs $1,000 more, the Strato E loses some premium touches like an aluminum housing, expanded storage, and co-star support, which is really important to people with really distant Kaleidescape legacy gear. But all in all, it keeps the core performance intact. Dirac, back in the news also. Dirac's active room treatment, better known as ART, is officially heading to select Denon and Marantz products starting later this year. I say later, we don't have a date yet. That according to an announcement made by Dirac this week. The feature is already listed as a forthcoming upgrade for Marantz's new AV20 and AMP20 combo that we're going to talk about soon. But this announcement confirms that it will expand to other upper-end models across both brands. So if you don't know what ART is, it's essentially a low-frequency correction technology that treats your entire system as one coordinated audio unit, I could say, probably to summarize it best. Instead of correcting each speaker individually, ART uses advanced processing to get all of your speakers and subs working together in real time to smooth out bass and reduce room problems. It really works well. The upgrade will require hardware that already supports Dirac Live bass control. And of course, this upgrade is going to cost you. It's a paid premium upgrade via firmware. No word yet on which models are eligible, but if you have a newer processor with some horsepower on board, this is definitely something to watch. Now, in terms of price, I know you're wondering, like, how much is this going to cost me? My best guess, I believe it's going to land somewhere around the $300 range, but I don't have confirmation on that. So take that number as an educated best guess. More on that soon. As soon as we find out numbers, I'll let you know. Trinnov is making some serious progress on his brand new global headquarters located in the greater Paris area. The building is a 48,000 square foot facility purpose-built for acoustic research and engineering and demonstration. It houses a large anechoic chamber, a private VIP cinema, which sounds awesome, critical listening labs, and immersive audio spaces. Trinnov expects to be moving in by year's end. That's into its offices, with final construction wrapping up shortly after, and that's when the rest of the facility will open up. The site is just 21 minutes from central Paris, sitting alongside a new metro line, making for easy access, and it's worth noting the facility will be energy positive with rooftop gardens and solar panels. Late last week, JBL dropped a trio of stunners at High-End Munich 2025, unveiling 3 new loudspeakers as part of its Summit Series lineup. Named after Himalayan peaks, the Makalu, Pumori, and Amma are flagship audio machines with premium finishes and seriously hefty price tags. We're talking about a range from 20 grand all the way up to nearly $45,000 per pair. Yeah, so high-end it is. The top-tier Makalu is a full-size floor stander with 12-inch and 8-inch drivers, plus JBL's signature compression driver and horn setup, while the mid-tier Pumori trims things down a little bit with a 10-inch woofer. And then for the smaller applications out there, the two-way Amma stand mount carries the same acoustic DNA and a more compact package. All 3 share sculpted cabinetry, exotic materials, and striking industrial designs that blend luxury with power. They'll begin shipping later this year through authorized dealers. Another Harman brand, Mark Levinson, is back in the spotlight with its own trio of high-end heavyweights grouped under the 600 series. The lineup includes the 626 dual mono preamp, the 632 stereo amp, and the top-tier 631 mono amp. Each one is built in the United States and sculpted from solid aluminum, featuring, and I love this little feature, signature red lighting under volcanic glass. Boy, does it look nice. Head over to our homepage if you want to see some pictures. The story is still up there on the homepage. These aren't just lookers, folks, either. The 626 is fully balanced. It includes a Class A headphone amp, phono stage, and an advanced DAC, while the amps bring massive power reserves to the table. We're talking about pricing from $25,000 to $40,000. This series is also clearly aimed at reference grade systems and big time high-end buyers. They are set to ship later this year. And for our final lightning round story, we look over to Apple, who has just issued an update for its Apple TV 4K devices. This is TV OS 18.5. With it, Apple has expanded its wireless audio sync tool to now include Dolby Atmos signal tests, allowing for better sync of audio and video when using AirPods or wireless speakers like Apple's HomePods. To get this to work, you'll need an iPhone running iOS 18.5. So sorry, Sonny Parker, this is not going to work for you. And you'll use that phone's mic to fine-tune playback timing. It's a smart fix for anyone building a wireless Apple-powered home theater setup, and apparently this is something that Apple users with Atmos setups have been asking for. So good on them for getting that release out there. All right. So, time to turn our attention to our featured story of the week. And we're talking about some news fresh out of Marantz. 2 new models launched on Tuesday of this week, marking a significant move for the brand's flagship lineup. We're talking about the AV20 processor and the AMP20 power amplifier, a pair that slides just under the AV10 and AMP10 in terms of model positioning, offering a big chunk of their performance and feature set at more accessible price points. The AV20 is a 13.4 channel processor that covers your immersive sound needs, including Auro 3D. Internally, it has a dual-core Shark Plus chip running at 1 gigahertz. This offers more processing muscle than older Marantz processors like the AV8805, but also, it gives you that extra headroom for decoding complex formats and running advanced room correction platforms. Speaking of room correction, Odyssey's top offering comes standard with the AV20. Optional upgrades include Dirac Live Bass Control, and yes, you guessed it, Dirac Art. And I know there's a lot of questions out there about Art. Marantz is not setting a specific date for launch. As we talked about earlier, no pricing on that update is available, but in a closed media presser last week, they said this is definitely happening. Whether that actually happens this fall or early to later next year, I can't really say, but we're going to have to take them at their word, and so I'll just say, stay tuned. All 7 HDMI inputs and 3 outputs on the AV20 are HDMI 2.1 compatible, supporting 8K 60, 4K 120, VRR, ALLM, Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, the whole kit and caboodle. The AV20 also adds AMD FreeSync, which isn't on the AV10. So that's a nice little bonus for gamers. And yes, all of those ports are locked at 40 gigabits per second, which is plenty for the vast majority of today's content. But that's not what PC gamers want to hear, because this unit has FreeSync on it, which addresses one of their needs in terms of frame rate adjustments. But you hear a lot of PC gamers out there really wanting that full 48 gig pathway. And in terms of the AV20, you're just out of luck. And this being Marantz, analog signal processing runs through HDAM modules. In this case, it's the brand's SA3 modules that are found on the AV10, though it's worth noting that higher-end model still benefits from upgraded caps and board components. So it's about the same, not quite the same, but I can guarantee you it probably sounds really amazing. Now, onto the AMP20, we're talking about 12 channels of Class D power at 200 watts per channel, and those can be bridged into 6 400-watt monoblocks. You've got access to fully balanced or unbalanced inputs, and the amp can be configured for bi-amping. Both the AV and AMP20 are modular, meaning they could be mixed and matched with other components like the AMP10 and the Cinema 30. So as you're building a system, this gives you a little bit of flexibility for expansion, which is really nice. Pricing is set at $6,000 each. And Marantz says that's definitely the price at launch, and it sounds like that's the price that will remain for the foreseeable future. Now, here is the tariff pricing heads up. There are definitely price hikes coming in early June. I say again, in early June for the AV10 and AMP10. Marantz is not saying how much the hike will be. They said they're still trying to figure that out. I'm sure they're still watching what's going on in politics, trying to figure out how bad the tariff is going to impact them. But we do know for sure that the AV10 and AMP10 are up for price boosts coming in early June, and it sounds like other models will probably follow suit. So please take note of that. If you're thinking about buying the AV10 or the AMP10, now is the time to do it. Or maybe shift your attention to the AV20 and AMP20. You're going to already save $2,000 off the top right there. You're still getting really great performance. So maybe if you didn't need the expansiveness of the AV10. Maybe the AV20 is more of the way to go. Anyhow, just wanted to give you that little heads up. So now you have the information to make a good decision for yourself. All right, time to talk discs and entertainment. So let's kind of poke our heads into the office of Michael Scott, our forum's chief disc critic, and see what he's been up to. In the past couple weeks, he's reviewed Rick and Morty, the anime, and Black Bag, both of those on Blu-ray. And he also reviewed Dune Prophecy, the complete first season on 4K Blu-ray. So 3 really good reviews to check out there. And if you poke your head around just a little bit more, you're going to see that we have a couple other reviews up. I posted up the first Base Hunters in forever. Really excited to get that series kicked off again. We have another one coming up very, very, very soon. In that particular Base Hunters that just dropped, we are analyzing the Trinnov trailers, which are fantastic free downloads from Trinnov. Also, Bob Rappaport has a new concert Blu-ray review that went live. It's Led Zeppelin Celebration Day. That's a concert from 2007 that took place at the O2 Arena in London. And in his review, Bob says that 20 million fans applied for tickets to go see that show live. Only 18,000 got in. Luckily, it's on disc and you can watch it. So go over and see what Bob has to say. New to disc this week, we have Steven Soderbergh's haunting thriller Presence. The Blu-ray from Decal Releasing includes a making of featurette. Also hitting 4K is A Knight's Tale, which stars the late, great Heath Ledger. Sony's new Steelbook edition includes both the theatrical and extended cuts, plus a brand new Dolby Atmos mix, deleted scenes, and other extras. We also have some good catalog action coming out of Criterion with Whitnell and I and In the Heat of the Night, both in 4K. Shout gives us a Blaxploitation Classics box set, and Arrow resurrects Jason 10 and Jason Goes to Hell, and Sony upgrades Law Abiding Citizen. So you've got a wide variety of releases to pick from. Of course, those of you watching this podcast right now, look down on the bottom of the screen and you can see, or eventually you'll see, the entire list of this week's releases. Now on to the Kaleidescape platform, and can we just hit pause for a moment and recognize how on fire Kaleidescape is at the moment? I mean, they have answered the critics on pricing when it comes to gear, and the bit for bit quality of their releases is just getting some serious attention. We have a great piece by a guest writer coming out hopefully later today, tomorrow, if not maybe this weekend, talking about the bit quality of Kaleidescape, even when it comes to 2K material. Something really, really interesting to read that you should check out. But it's great to see them thriving. Now, anyhow, Kscape recently launched another filmmaker spotlight series, this time tapping the mind, the heart of Martin Scorsese. Basically, they asked him to compile his favorite films that inspired his work, and his favorite demo movies, among other categories. And Martin joins the likes of Josh Gad, Clancy Brown, Ben Affleck, Barry Sonnenfeld, as well as cinematographers, sound mixers, and editors with his picks for the Filmmaker Spotlight series. So it's really cool stuff. Definitely go check out his collection in the Kscape movie store. And just to give you a little teaser, he and I both like A24's Civil War. I thought that was kind of cool. Anyhow, speaking of the store, it now carries The Legend of Ochi, Air, 13 Lives, Samaritan, a Minecraft movie, and the new Snow White, which I know you're all just dying to see in your home. All of those in 4K. You can purchase, download, and watch them today on your Kscape system. All right, let's finish up the content portion of this show with what's hot and what's not, where we take a look at trends in movie data and sales numbers. Sizzling hot, we have Disney Plus's original Star Wars universe show Andor. According to Whip Media, that show is the most popular streamed original in the United States right now. Also, Red Hot, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Godzilla -1, both of which remain in the top 3 of best-selling discs since our last show. Godzilla is at number 2 on the Blu-ray charts, number 3 on the 4K charts, and you just flip-flop that, and that's exactly where we find Sonic. Sonic is at number 3 on the Blu-ray charts and number 2 on the 4K charts. So those movies remain really, really popular. And also hot, we have several modern classics eating up the 4K disc charts with The Fugitive, Blade Runner, yes, the original Blade Runner, Jaws, and The Terminator, all sitting in the top 10 of our most recent 4K disc sales numbers. Now, to cool things off a bit, we return to a series that just ruled the charts for much of the last few months. We're talking about The White Lotus Season 3, which according to Whip Media is now outside of the top 10 most popular shows. That was the most popular show streamed for the month of April. And we talked about this last episode. Streaming is fickle. What a fast changing landscape. So anyway, White Lotus, you're out of here. Also dropping into the what's not category is the movie The Wild Robot. It had been on fire heading into the end of April, landing at number 3 in overall sales charts for the entire year. However, currently it's out of the top 20 for both Blu-ray and 4K discs. Okay, it's time for us to wrap up the show. So we've got our deals of the week, and we're going to start off with our disc deals. And since we're celebrating Memorial Day this weekend, I have some savings on classic war films for you. And, come to think of it, I probably should have hit up my friend and war movie buff, Joey Peacock, for some suggestions. So Joey, I hope you approve of these, but here's what I have to offer. We've got a double feature, Kelly's Heroes and Where Eagles Dare. That's on Blu-ray. 50% off for just $10.49. Next, we have Lee Marvin, Charles Bronson, and Jim Brown in The Dirty Dozen. Just a great, great flick. That too on Blu-ray. That is also 50% off, just $9.99. And last, but certainly not least, Gregory Peck and the classic Guns of Navarone. That has an average of 4.8 stars out of 5 on Amazon, and that's with 5,500 reviews. So this movie is a good one. You can bring that to your home for just $12.99. I'll drop links to all 3 of those right down in the show notes. And for our gear deal, and I alluded earlier in the show, actually at the beginning of the show, that this one is a great deal, but it's still expensive. So bear with me here, folks. Today we're talking about the JVC DLA NZ9 laser projector. Its MSRP and what it has sold for up until just recently, $26,000. And right now it can be found for $12,999. So this thing is a total beast. 3,000 lumens of output, 100,000 to 1 native contrast ratio. It upscales to 8K if you want to do that. Not really my thing, but it can do it. It is a native 4K projector. It has 48 gigabit per second HDMI inputs, great for you gamers out there, and 100 millimeter all glass lens. I mean, this, folks, it does it all. Plus, you get that incredible JVC image processing that gives you excellent tone mapping out of the box with JVC's amazing frame adapt technology. So I saw this price. I checked around. I couldn't find this price elsewhere. I only saw this deal at Best Buy. So I'm going to drop a link to it so you can find it also. I'll drop a link right down in the show notes. Somebody out there, if you've been on the fence about getting a high-end projector like this is something to jump on. It's a really, really good projector. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you on this episode of HTNR, brought to you by madVR Labs and SVS. Really appreciate the support from them. Thanks for spending time with me. Do be kind to each other out there, and we'll see you on the home theater forum at avnirvana.com.